Hello guys, I am here to review a book that I'm very excited about, and that is A Storm of Swords by George R.R. Martin. This is the third book in the Song of Ice and Fire series. It's an epic fantasy. It's told from third-person perspective from the point of view of, I think, 10 different characters. But before I get into the review, there are a few things that I wanted to talk about. The first one being that I want to keep this review purposefully vague because I don't want there to be any spoilers. I want everyone to be able to listen to this review whether they've read the first books or not. With that said, I will be talking about the characters, and I know that gives the impression that these characters survived the previous books, and I know for some people that could be considered a spoiler if they don't want that kind of information when they're going into a series. But I will be putting the character section at the end of the video, so if you'd rather not know that information, you can just exit out at that time. Another thing before I begin the review is that since I didn't review A Clash of Kings, I thought I would just talk about it briefly in this video. Basically, I rated it the same as A Game of Thrones, but for very different reasons. Overall, I felt this was a better book. The action and the sequence of events was more interesting than this book, but I felt like my overall reading experience was better in this book, and I think that's because I was used to his writing style and I knew what to expect from him. I was familiar with all the characters and I could just enjoy the story. So now let's get to the review of A Storm of Swords. Basically, the plot in this book is very similar to the other books in that it is very character-driven and revolves mainly around the characters' struggles, how they deal with events as they unfold, and how they interact with each other. But I do feel like the quality of the plot in this book is superior than in the other books. There's just a better balance of drama, action, and suspense. There were plenty of dramatic moments, intense scenes, and I loved that there were plenty of plot twists for each character. I really found myself empathizing with each of the characters. It was like a roller coaster of emotions. That included being scared for the characters. There were a lot of nerve-wracking scenes, certainly very sad scenes. There was even a scene in particular that made me feel very angry and on the verge of tears because I felt very bad for this character. And I could just hear the anger and hurt in the way they were speaking. Very, very emotional book. I thought there were enough interesting scenes spread throughout the book that it gave it a very nice pace, and the only times that I ever felt bored were ones where I was consciously aware of the fact that I was tired and I wasn't paying attention as well as I should have been. But that is more of a reflection on my frame of mind and no fault of the books. Obviously, there are going to be parts that drag a little bit. That's just normal with such a huge book, and it is a very huge book, mind you. Over 1,000 pages. It is a beast of a book. But because I was so interested in the characters and the things that were happening, there was really nothing that stuck out as being dull to me. I thought the pace was excellent. I believe in my review of A Game of Thrones, the writing was one of the weaker aspects of the book for me, but I don't really feel that way anymore. I don't know if it's just that I'm used to his writing style now or if the writing has actually improved, but I just found myself enjoying it a lot more, and I absolutely love the writing style, and I think it gives such a nice atmosphere to the book. And I've noticed that I'm a lot more acclimated to George's foreshadowing, and I pick up on that a lot more than I used to. I gave this book 5 stars out of 5. Everyone who raved about it was completely right. It was amazing, and it's my favorite book out of the series so far, and I even added it to my list of all-time favorite books. I definitely recommend this book to everyone, especially those who are already enjoying the series. I don't know why you wouldn't like this book if you already liked the first two, but even if you didn't or you're reluctant to give the series a try, I just want to say that when I finished this book, I posted something on Goodreads, essentially saying that even if I hadn't enjoyed the first 2 books, reading them would have been worth it if it meant being able to read this book. So that's how much I like this book. If I knew ahead of time how much I would like the book, I would have gladly suffered through all of these pages, these thousands of pages, so I could enjoy this book. But thankfully, I did enjoy these books as well. And now, finally, I will quickly talk about the characters. I know this video is way too long already. Like I said at the beginning of the video, if you'd rather not have any inkling as to who survives the previous books, feel free to exit the video now, and thank you for watching. The book is very character-driven, and there is a whole array of different characters. Most of them are very well developed. They each have different voices in my mind when I'm reading them and come across as unique individuals, but there were a few side characters who didn't really stand out as their own person, and I found myself reading them with the same voice and picturing them more or less the same because I just felt like they were there to serve the same sort of niche and they weren't very distinguishable to me, but for the most part the characters are very well developed. I still have the same favorite characters, Daenerys and Tyrion. I've always enjoyed reading them. I also really like Sansa. I didn't necessarily like her from the start, but I've always liked reading her chapters, and that was even more true in this book. One of my new favorite characters is Brienne of Tarth. She is becoming one of my favorite characters as well. I love that she is a female knight. It's also really nice to see Sam's point of view now. And of course there's also Arya, Catelyn, Davos. They're all good characters, just not my favorites per se. Oh, and there's also Bran. Not one of my favorite characters either, but I do like the direction that he's going with magic and that aspect of the plot. There were also some characters that I grew to like a lot more in this book, like Jaime Lannister. He's sort of a given in that regard, but also another character that I grew to like, who I think you were meant to like from the beginning, but I just didn't care for him that much, and that is Jon Snow. I like him a lot better in this book. That was my review of A Storm of Swords. I really hope it was helpful and not too rambly and long. I just really enjoy talking about this book. I could talk about this series all day and go on and on. I also wanted to let you guys know that I will be going out of town on Thursday for about 2 weeks, so I probably won't be making videos during that time. I just wanted to let you know so you don't worry that I've disappeared again. I do plan on going to the bookstores there. There's not really any bookstores near me, so I'm very excited to go. I will probably have a haul when I return. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.